And now, your host, Couch Tomato!
Hey, I'm Couch Tomato and I'm joined by
Hulk.
Welcome to Stuff for Movie Buffs. And today we're talking
Trending topics, Netflix prices, and Pacific Rim trailer reaction.
All right, before we jump into our topics today, it's a little bit of a different, order that we usually do. We usually pick one movie and just go all out, but I wasn't interested in seeing Blade Runner this week. So hope some of you guys liked it, heard the reviews were great, but I wasn't too passionate about the first, and I'm not excited about the reboot. So we actually wanted to talk about some trending topics. Also, we have some important news today. We have an important announcement. So I started my channel a little bit over 3 years ago. For a person who's loved movies since he was a child, it's truly been a blessing, guys. I've been able to help the world see film from my point of view. And I've also been able to connect with a lot of you guys listening to this podcast, whether it be through email or comment section. So huge thanks for that. And also when we connect, I get a lot of requests from you guys almost on a daily basis. Sometimes I'm able to follow through on your request and do a video. And a lot of times I'm not able to. It's just not enough hours in the day, so to speak. I just don't have the time or resources. So hopefully this news will change that. I'm launching a Patreon today. I've held off on it for the longest. The main reason I entertained the idea because I thought of a new idea a couple of days ago while I was in the shower. Try not to picture me naked, but it's a video concept that I actually, I think if I created it, it'll be something that I'm proud of. And I haven't felt this way about a concept since I've created the idea for 24 Reasons. There's a lot of YouTubers out there and I always try to set myself apart. And 24 Reasons, gave me that edge like, hey, nobody's doing this. And I think I found something to where I'm like, you know what? I don't think anybody's doing this either. So I can't say too much. But in order to do that, like I said, I would need the time and the resources. So that's the reasoning behind the Patreon. So it'll help me pursue that idea. So to the listeners on this podcast, you guys are my most loyal fans, and I'm asking for your support. Keep in mind, a lot of the people that watch my videos is 3-minute segments. But for you guys to sit through a podcast, usually 20, 25 minutes, and I usually hear from you guys the most on social media as well. So I know that you guys are my core, group, and I thank you for that. But press pause on this video now. Wait till you hear what I say first. But go ahead and head over to patreon.com/couchtomatofilms. There's also a link in the description. But there's different levels that you guys could support. If you give $1, you'll get a thank you email from me. And that's $1 a month, $12 a year. So that's less than anything that you'll find in a movie theater concession. If you give $5, that's our fresh tomato level. You'll get to be a guest on the podcast. So that's also something else that I want to do is make the Couch Tomato more of a community to where it's not just me pumping out the videos. It's you guys adding your 2 cents on the podcast, and you guys actually help writing and producing some of the content that you'll see on the main channel. So the $5 level gets you on the podcast with a new segment that we'll be launching today called 2 cents. If you give $10, that's our Oscar snub level. So I try to use as much movie puns as I possibly could, but you'll get access to a private group me chat with myself and Hope. So we'll discuss movies, trailers, and you guys could ask me anything, but also just to shoot the breeze. So I love talking about movies 24/7, and with this private chat, it allows us to do that. With that, that'll be $10 a month. Also for the Oscar-worthy level, it's $20. This is for the people that actually want to pursue creating a YouTube channel, so this will give you that experience. What you'll do is actually at the $20 level, there'll be a separate group me chat where we're actually able to brainstorm new ideas for the 24 Reasons brand, but also the new concept that I'm coming up with. And you guys will basically, if you've seen some of my 24 Reason videos and you think you could do a better job, well, guess what? You're going to get your shot. You'll get to write, produce. If you're skilled at editing, I'll, allow some wiggle room for that as well. For you guys to redo a video that I've done already, but just add 24 extra reasons. So you want to trash talk on the sideline and think you could do a better job? Let's see it. So yeah, once again, press pause, head over to patreon.com/couchtomatofilms. Go ahead and support anything that you guys can do. It'll be greatly appreciated. So thanks for that. So Hope, I haven't talked to you about the new concept yet, but I'll tell you offline. Just know that I'm extremely proud of it. All right, so moving along, we have a new segment today, Hope. It's called Adding Your 2 Cents, and it's just like what it sounds like. It's like something's going on in the movie world, and you know what? You've already heard the opinions of movie bloggers, movie trades, and different things like that from other YouTube channels. But now it's your turn to add your 2 cents on how you feel about the subject. So we picked a trending topic this week. Hope, you remember what we picked?
Yeah, we talked the Netflix prices going up.
No, that's what we're talking about later on. We're talking about Netflix and Pacific Rim. But the trending topic this week.
I got you. The Andy Signore, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah. I say Andy Signore, but when he says it, it's usually a pause between the G and the N. He says Andy Signore, so I say Signore. I don't know. It's maybe from me being from the South, but yeah. So I'll give my 2 cents on this. So once again, new segment. And going forward in the future, I really want to dedicate this time to patrons. So what'll happen is, as long as you have a Skype ID, or you could just call in and leave an audio message, we'll tell you the topic and it will go ahead and put you on the podcast. So yeah, like when it comes to, if you guys haven't heard, about the Andy Signore situation, do us all a big favor. Head over to Twitter. Check out his mentions. It's not pretty. So then you'll kind of understand what's going on. For the record, I consider myself more of a fan than a creator when it comes to the YouTube space. When I think of the Mount Rushmore of the YouTube movie buff space, I think of CinemaSins, Screenjunkies, How It Should Have Ended, John Campia and Company, and that's the group that was basically formerly AMC Movie Talk, now Collider Movie Talk. And I'll give an honorable mention to Red Letter Media. So when you're on my Mount Rushmore, I hold you guys to a higher standard. I could get away with a lot of stuff with my channel. My following isn't as big as those guys that I mentioned. And I'm not considered an ambassador of the movie buff community. So that's the reason why I'm able to get away with a lot more. So obviously Screen Junkies isn't in that space. So this week I want to give my 2 cents on this Andy Signore scandal. If you haven't Googled Andy Signore, once again, feel free to press pause and give it a look. But to summarize, April Dawn, she's the girlfriend of JTE. If you guys don't know who JTE is, he's the former engineer of the Schmoes Know movie podcast, and he now works with Defy Media, in some capacity. It's usually behind the scenes, but Screen Junkies and those guys. So his girlfriend, April Dawn of the Dead, if you want to look her up on YouTube, she started tweeting about her experience with Andy Signore and accusing him of sexual harassment. Whenever someone's name or integrity is on the line, I tread carefully, so I rather read her tweet verbatim rather than me making up anything, So she tweets and it's titled "A More Detailed Statement on the Harassment I Received from Andy Signore." She continues, "Over the past 2 months, I have been talking with Screen Junkies HR department after Andy Signore tried to sexually assault me on multiple occasions. I did what I believed to be the right thing and trusted the company to do something, considering 2 other women also came forward with me. The HR company continued to not take me seriously and only had Andy's interest in mind. He threatened my boyfriend's job security, saying he would fire him if I told anyone. This has been the hardest time of my life, but I'm coming forward in hopes that no other woman will have to be subject to this kind of treatment. He took out sex toys and tried to force them in me, took pictures of me without my permission, and promised a position at Screen Junkies for sexual favors. I hope this encourages women to come forward because I believe you. April." All right, a lot to swallow.
Yeah.
Right? and probably wrong choice of words at this time. I'm not saying that to be insensitive, but definitely this is a sensitive matter. But yeah, like this is just a lot. And honestly, when I read it the first time, I didn't hear the word assault in there, and I almost glossed over the sex toys part and the taking pictures without permission. So since then, though, multiple women have since come forward, and prior to April Dawn writing that note, I believe 2 other women made similar claims. So she's actually like the third in line. I know she was probably the first to come forward, but the first to come forward publicly. She's third at bat. So Hope, I'm interested to hear your 2 cents first, and I'll chime in.
Yeah, it was crazy because when you sent me the text, I didn't know what the situation was. And then when I looked it up, I was just like, what? Another sexual harassment thing? Because, earlier...
Oh, they came in... Weinstein, they came in at the bunches this week.
Yeah, and I'm like dealing with that crazy story. And then when I started reading this, I was just like, yo, what's going on? Like, something really wrong with Hollywood around. And that's how it usually starts. It's usually like just, one person that comes up with the accusation, and then boom, like the floodgates start opening up. It starts to get more and more and more.
When there's smoke, there's fire, man. When there's some, I always believe that there's always like 2 truths.
Yeah.
Like
same
if
here.
somebody, but when somebody says something, even if they exaggerate, it's like 90% true.
Yeah.
And when somebody denies something, even if they exaggerate, it's like 90% true most times. So, but when it comes to sexual harassment, keep in mind, like all right, here's my 2 cents. So guys, you guys know me as Couch Tomato on YouTube. When I'm not on YouTube, I'm a husband to a lovely wife. We've just celebrated 8 years of marriage. And I'm also a father to a son and a father to 3 lovely young ladies. So this is a sensitive topic for me. Before doing YouTube, I dabbled in management. At my former Fortune 500 company, I was fortunate enough to join the regional management team at a young age. And while getting promoted 5 times in 5 years, I think it's safe to say I know a thing or 2 when it comes to developing people and corporate culture. Humble brag, by the way. I hate to talk about myself like that, but I want to say that to say this. It's because of my former managerial experience that I noticed a lot of things wrong with this picture. And it's not just Andy Signore. The biggest glaring thing that I noticed in there?
What up?
It's the HR department. I mean, they dropped the ball a lot.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Yeah. So, glass ceilings exist everywhere. And I'm saddened to hear that they exist in Defy Media, because you said you kind of jumbled this up with the Weinstein company. I'm not, because I always felt that Defy Media, they're more of a new age digital company. And a lot of times you see digital companies stray away from, the corporate America.
Oh, that's true.
We're not Hollywood. We're something different.
Yeah.
We're going to take everything that's good about Hollywood, and we're going to leave everything, all the, the excess baggage. So I'm a little surprised that they incorporated that sexual harassment stuff into their arsenal. I don't know why I thought a little bit more highly of digital companies. I'm like, hey, YouTube is the best place to be a creator. There's no glass ceilings.
Yeah.
Anybody could have an audience. And that's one of the reasons why I'll never do corporate again. I loved it, but I was part of the managerial team, and I would see people the most talented people were always selected for the role.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to sneak through the cracks. But when we would be at the decision-making table, and I was like, oh, they're giving it to this person. Oh, it's obviously politics involved. And I just hated that. So yes, I agree. Andy is to blame. But while you guys are pointing fingers at Andy, focus your attention on the HR department. Andy used his position as power over women. And originally, this is the thing. This is the way I feel about sexual harassment. As much as you want to think certain things are common sense, everybody wasn't raised in a wholesome household to where they just don't understand that that's wrong.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, you cannot go to jail for sexual harassment. It's something that's morally wrong.
Yeah.
So if a person, as a manager, if I was, Andy's superior, Soon as that allegation came up, I would do an investigation. By the way, those things don't take more than 7 days. And the fact that she said that the HR department slept on it for two months, they had no plans to pursue it, an actual investigation.
Yeah, they got shook. Whoever's in that office, they got shook. They were just like, oh, snap. They saw Andy's name and it was just like, yo, we don't want no parts of this.
And no problems.
Yeah.
And that HR departments are supposed to almost be a separate entity. It's like no matter who's in charge in the organization, whether it be the CEO, they're supposed to have the employee's best interest at heart as well as the values of the company. So it's like, even though this person has high power, it doesn't matter. I'm almost like internal affairs when it comes to the cops. I can charge my own if I need to, but HR departments are supposed to serve as moral compasses. So stuff that you think are common sense, as long as it's not illegal, they're supposed to, give you a fair warning to say, hey, what you did was wrong. I'm going to give you another opportunity to correct it because it isn't legal. I mean, it isn't illegal, but if this happens again, we have to terminate you. So there has to be some like educational experience to where the employee can't say, oh, I just never knew. I never knew that was wrong. Even though I'm hearing this and I'm like, bro, you can't take pictures of people without permission.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Sex toys and stuff like that. I wasn't there, but I know like, okay, is this something that you could press charges against them for? The taking pictures without permission, I know, is definitely illegal. I wasn't there when sex toys got into play. Like, I don't know how that ends up in the workplace, but I'm like, okay, soon as you talk to HR, it's not an issue and it's not going to be a power struggle if you go to Andy and say, hey, this is what we've heard. Mm-hmm. How true is this? You know what? We're putting you on a conduct memo. We're giving you a 30, 60, 90-day plan on how to, rectify the situation. If it happens again within those 30, 60, 90 days, guess what? You're terminated. But I don't think the conversation went past, April going to HR and it was dead there. It stopped. And I think not only do people need, like, I just don't think that it's beneficial for Andy to work there anymore. Like unfortunately, a lot of it is due to HR because I do believe that, keep in mind, I've seen some bad things in corporate America and I do realize, hey, people could change. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, they kind of, by turning a blind eye, what the HR department did was they actually agreed, hey, this is part of our culture. We're fine with that. If he wants to play with sex toys with his employees, it's fine. We're cool with that. We're actually comfortable with that. As soon as you set that precedence, that becomes your culture. So it's like whoever's responsible for the culture, they have to go too. I don't know who she spoke to in HR, but she needs to name drop that person as well so that they're not working there anymore as well.
Yeah, definitely. You can't do that. HR is supposed to look out for employees. They're supposed to, their concerns, especially something serious as this, where it's not just her too. It's her boyfriend who's also part of the company. So he's affected as well. So if you have your boss threatening to fire your boyfriend over sexual favor and, harassment, all that stuff, like that's as serious as it can get. Like, you're messing with two people's livelihoods. That's how they feed themselves. That's how they, saying, afford where they're staying. So,
and not only that, Hope.
Yeah,
it's easy to point the finger at them. Like, what would you have done if you were JTE or April?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it put them in a tough spot. Like, I'm glad that she came forward, especially given this day and age. Like, I'm glad she realized, like, hey, I still have an outlet. You know what I'm saying? I know it's not gonna, let me come forward. So I was glad that she was able to, but it's just like I feel so bad for them because, man, it's like it's tough. Like, it's just.
It's always good. People are always gonna I don't know that stuff. At all parties involved, there's going to be like blemishes where people on Twitter aren't the most
friendly.
Yeah, so luckily with April though, the response was overwhelmingly in her favor, and you never, like, for me having daughters, I would hate for them to come forward and people call them a liar or something. Yeah. So my advice to anybody in a corporate setting, school, or any place they feel that there's a glass ceiling over their head, you know what? I'll tell you what I would tell my 3 daughters. If you wait for perfect conditions, nothing will ever happen. That's always been my motto in life. Like, if you're waiting for something like a perfect scenario, you'll never get anything accomplished. So it's impossible. I said it earlier. I believe people could change. Companies, however, It's not impossible, just very unlikely. If the environment is toxic, and I do believe that the environment is toxic just for the simple fact that HR, snuck this under the rug. If the environment is toxic, get out of there. Don't wait for HR to fix it. Don't wait for managers to switch departments. Just leave. Like, get out. Get out, just like the Jordan Peele movie. All right. So apparently April reached out to a reporter and she had plans to raise her voice. And I have no problem with that. I think the part that's worrisome is the amount of people that have came forward since. It's been fans have actually sent screenshots of messages that they exchanged back and forth. So and like for me, the part that's alarming is Andy wasn't really doing the best job to hide his breadcrumbs, because I think he thought it was okay. I think if you were to question him before the news got out, his words would mirror the tune of, "Hey, no sweat, man. My managers don't care. I do it all the time. It's fine. That's what we do over here at Defy."
Like,
so
power, it can, you know what I'm saying? You could have that pride and it could leave you blind to like your weak spots, to where it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just operating at such a level where you have a bunch of yes men in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Doing things.
Yeah, and you feel justified. It's like, I'm not doing anything wrong because somebody would have said something.
Yeah.
So, and I always believe if you're around people who aren't like you, two things will happen. They will either become more like you, or you will become more like them. So what I mean by that is, if Andy operated in that space for I don't know how many years, and nothing was ever, because all of these, when you look at the timestamps of these events, this has been going on for months, years, and I'm like, this didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
So either that's a learned behavior, or that's just the culture over there at Defy.
Yeah.
So it's like every body's impacted by this, and I just feel like the culture is so toxic right there, and the only way that you could do is you got to get out the bad apples. And it's not just with Andy. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if you hear more stories coming out about the environment over there. And like I said, everybody's impacted. For Andy, the woman, the Defy Media brand, it's unfair to them as well. So I hope this leaves a healable wound, like for the women that have been impacted by this, to where, okay, don't hold your head down. It's nice that you guys came forward. Let this be your platform to help other people in similar situations. Like, speak up, speak out. So for my message to Andy, you created Screen Junkies. I think it's a great idea, and I have high regards for creative people. I never judge anyone. Like, dude, like one thing I feel is like that none of us are perfect, right? And it's just a matter of time before we have like a humble fall. I always pray like, hey, when it's time for me to fall, I could do it privately, and just, God could be the only witness to that, and I don't have to be embarrassed by my peers. So unfortunately, like, it's just that we all were witness to his fall from grace. And just that alone, it's like a sad story. I feel like the same way in sports, when you see somebody that was given a huge platform and they fell away from it, regardless of the action that they did, I do think everything's correctable, no matter how dark the crime. Like my only hope for him is that, look, man, you were embarrassed publicly, where a lot of us get the benefit of getting embarrassed just privately. Hopefully it's a learned lesson for you, and people can learn from your mistake. Like, not just, men can learn from this as well. Like, dude, like if you're in a managerial role, I don't care how comfortable you think you are with your subordinates, it's power there. So you can't abuse that, man. You have to really use that effort to develop talent and make these people the best versions of themselves. And as soon as you start to try to manipulate those waters, something like this could happen. No matter how misguided you are, I hope you could learn from this situation. So, I mean, those are my 2 cents.
Yes. I just think like men just has to learn, especially like like you said before, like in a corporate setting, certain things you just don't do. You don't send certain things to a woman. You don't, offer her sex toys or try to put them in. Like, it's.
Oh man, I glossed over that fact the first time I read it, because I'm like, you know what? At first, honestly, I didn't think it was that bad. I'm like, I think, dude, HR never corrected him, because I've worked with employees who just don't have common sense. I'm like, you can't do that, right? You're not supposed to do that. I could fire you right now. And they would be like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. Like, dude, you add value to our company. This is the stuff that we're going to expect from you over the next 30 days, man. If this comes up again, it's no questions. You're out of here. But you always you always assume, best intentions. Like they really didn't know.
Yeah.
And he never got that opportunity because I think that they were babying that culture for so long. Like, look at Andy. He's over there.
That's funny.
Sexually harassing another intern.
Like,
oh man. Yeah. And when you say corporate, I do think the digital space is different. A lot of people don't consider it corporate. They just say, hey, I get to make videos for a living.
No, but to me, just because you wear a t-shirt and jeans to work, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's still certain rules, principles have to apply.
Tell that to Uber, man. Uber, Facebook, all of these companies when they first started out and they thought they weren't corporate. All of these scandals. You saw the Facebook movie, smoking coke with an intern, man. It's dumb stuff like that. People just don't have common sense. But moving along, man, off to a better note. So this is going to be a hard transition, but Pacific Rim trailer, right? So that was released today. Not today, actually this week, excuse me. I saw it yesterday. So, I mean, how did you feel about the Pacific Rim trailer?
Yo, that was, real talk, that was one of the best trailers I've seen this year. Like,
why?
It was just fire. Like, straight from the get-go. Like, you hear, Boyega talking, a little narrator. And then once that beat start to drop, and then, they using
foreign music. And they using diversity in the cast. And the one thing I like is not only is there diversity in the cast, which was the case with the first one, but John Boyega gets to use his real accent. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the world is shrinking. You don't have to hire Americans to sell tickets anymore. Yeah. And I just think it's degrading to some of these European actors where they say, hey, just do an American accent or we're not going to sell the movie. So I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. Like you said, it was real refreshing because that was like my first introduction to him was when he was not in like his, America, like, Star Wars. It was with
Attack on the Block.
Yeah. So it was just like I was used to him talking like that. So then it was actually weird for me to see him talking in, in American accent. But yeah, back to the trailer. Like, yeah, it was just the Tupac vocals work perfectly. The way they set it up as well. Like, I really think they know like what their target audience is. Like, they're not going to try to like, do too much with like the backstories and stuff. Like, you get like, where he's from. Like, okay, what's Idris Elba's character's name?
I don't remember. That's the thing about you talk about target audiences. I'm their target audience. When I go to see Giants, I don't care about a story.
Yeah,
I don't remember. I don't remember none of those characters from Pacific Rim.
No, exactly. No, I was just going to use that as a quick reference.
Only characters' names I remember are Kaiju, Jaeger. That's it. And I like the fact that I don't know anything that's happening in this movie. Yeah. All I know is it's a world war with Kaiju versus Jaegers. And I don't care too much about anything else. And I think for this movie, that's the perfect kind of trailer that you need to do. Like, a question. It looks like we see some Jaeger versus Jaeger action there. Because when the missile is about to hit John Boyega, obviously that's not coming from a kaiju. Yeah. So, because kaijus aren't weaponized. So, what's up with the friendly fire? What do you think that's about?
I think I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a corporation that, you know what I'm saying, like just doesn't, kind of shady, like probably doesn't really care too much about the people really. Maybe they just, want to destroy, the monsters or whatever. I'm just going hypothetically. And then like John Boyega and his crew, they probably rebel against that and try to stop him maybe.
It looked like that's what it is. It's like a civil war. It's like, hey, this person is saying, hey, we're not fighting with allied forces anymore. We got some new tech. Yeah. And we're just going to use it for just Asia. And they're like, no. We helped create that tech. We own the rights to it. Yeah. And now they fight it amongst each other, which is funny. But that seems like that's what happened in the real life scenario. What would happen in the real life scenario? Like, hey, America has to die. North America and South America has to die for the world to be, safe. So we're just going to focus on maintaining the Eastern world. So flying robots. Thought that was awesome. You know what this is, right?
What you mean? Like, I'm not really sure where you're gonna go with this.
It's the changing of the guard. I think Transformers Last Night bombed, and I think this is a passing of the baton to this franchise. I think they're setting it. It has better actors, better looking robots. I think this could be what they thought Transformers Last Night was gonna do. You know, like the first one, it did good, but the reason it took so long to get a sequel is because it took them a while to get their money back. Like when you look at the first one, the CGI, and I'm never in awe with CGI because I'm like, it don't really matter to me. But that was one of the first movies where I'm like, wow, those giants really do look like giants. Yeah. Oh wow, like I see where the money went. But so I would expect this movie's gonna probably do better. They gotta, you know, people are gonna be so used to seeing him as Finn Boyega to where they might rush into the theaters just off of that alone. Mm-hmm. But I think this will be like the new Transformers type franchise, you know, still in, you know, box office numbers that way. So it looks like we get level 5 was the biggest kaiju, if I'm not mistaken, in Pacific Rim, right?
Yeah, I don't. I vaguely remember.
I think it was like they were fighting level 3s most of the time, and then you know, 4s and 5s came out at the end, but they got a level 10 this time. What was that? So yeah, only thing I'm concerned about though is they waited too long for this. So same thing with Godzilla. I felt like giants ruled the world or box office in 2014, but the world went through like a giant phase fatigue in 2017. A la King Kong.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they missed the boat. Hopefully they didn't, but I'm looking forward to great things from this movie.
Yeah. I think because the response has been so overwhelming, it's just like every single headline, every single like mention, like, you know what I'm saying? The only reason why I give it hope, because I didn't see that with Transformers. You know what I'm saying? Last night.
Not Transformers, but I seen that with Pacific Rim. Like I thought that movie was going to do better than it did. No, everybody was talking about it. Nobody went to see it.
Yeah. But hopefully, the foreign numbers are going to be huge. You know what I'm saying?
Why? This is like,
because that's what saved Pacific Rim. It wasn't domestic. It was all foreign. Like,
I know that, but I'm just saying, what would make you think that this is any different than the promotion that they were doing for the original?
No,
I'm hoping.
No, what I'm hoping is, like, they looked at the original. They were just like, okay, we made X with the box office numbers, especially with the foreign. So if we can take that, maybe spend Y, like not too much, you know what I'm saying, with this new project, we can hopefully get enough of a return to where we're comfortable with. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because Hollywood always does decisions like that, and they're always so mathematically sound. I feel you. This playing devil's advocate. Yeah. But let's get into the main event, man. So we're talking about Netflix, and if you guys have heard, if you have Netflix subscriptions, expect to see what I think most of you guys have that plan where it's 2 screens, it's $11.99 streaming, you know, and no DVD. I don't even think they do DVD mailing DVDs anymore, but it's their most popular plan, $11.99. They're moving it to $13.99. When they first started, they were $7.99. So I've been around for the $7.99 to $11.99 spike and $11.99 to $13.99 spike. I'll be there too. So your thoughts? And I think you're more of a Prime guy, aren't you?
I'm both.
Okay, you're both. This so great. I didn't know if you would add value to this discussion. So your thoughts?
I think this is like we said before. Like I think this could be the beginning of the end. It's gonna be a long road to that end. But I don't think Netflix is gonna be number one. Like, I think with $3 billion debt thing that came out, you know, what was it, a few months back?
When you trade on the New York Stock Exchange or whatever, and you got constant flow of money coming in, you have to be very, very, you know, just horrible to go bankrupt. That's why I'm not worried about the $1 billion debt. They'll find a way to make it. And by the way, for a service that's not offering any ads on their platform, they could easily switch up their financial crisis. I just think they're trying to look for new ways to make money, which I actually commend them on.
No, I agree. It's just my problem is just like, okay, with these companies, it's just like what made them so unique and so attractive was their prices. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like they weren't not like the cable companies where it's like, I'm getting charged for all this extra stuff. I'm not saying that Netflix prices are way, way cheaper than cable, but at the same time, like where you have Amazon Prime, you have Plus, you know what I'm saying? You have...
How much is Amazon Prime?
It's with the package, so it's like...
Exactly. So you're overpaying, you just don't know you are. It's embedded.
I don't even feel like, but I don't feel like I'm overpaying. You know what I'm saying? Cause
that's the thing. Hope. I think Netflix is extremely underpriced. So as long as they don't go over $25, I'm willing to rock it until the wheels fall off. And what I mean by that, I'm part of that generation, just like you are, that was conditioned to seeing $100 cable bills. So the selection on streaming is better than what I remember from cable, and it's also 1/10 of the cost. So raise the price. I don't care. Like I've been conditioned to pay.
That's how it starts. It's like it's $2
no, but
here,
I'm telling you,
$3 there, and it's like before you know it.
But if they get to 25, it's still you're just so spoiled now. But you were used to paying $100 for or more for cable with like less options, and the demand package was horrible. So it's like, no, it's as long as they don't go over 25, I think, okay, really y'all should have been charging 25 from the gate.
But don't you?
But now you got people used to paying $7.99. No. So 13 sounds crazy. But Barry knows, okay, when I go see a movie, a 2-hour experience is $10. So now Netflix is giving me over 1,000 hours of content for like the same price that I go for 2 hours. No, like I don't understand what you want from them. I think that.
But can they?
I think $13 is fair, and they don't do ads, because that's the thing. Like they have to make their money. The only other option is, okay, start putting ads in front of people's faces. And I have kids. I get my money back from Netflix because of the kid streaming. I got a 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 10-month-old. And with the educational, shows on there, they just revamped Magic School Bus. I don't like it. It's still educational. My kids love it. I don't want ads in between that. You confusing a child on things to ask their parent, or, starting that culture in my household to where you're throwing ads in front of my children. Like, no, like I'm comfortable paying, the $13 fee, and I'm going to stick with it.
You got to deal with HBO Go now. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with Amazon Prime. You got to do it.
How does HBO, watch this, how does HBO make their money?
What do you mean? Through sponsors? Well, not through ads, but through...
No. But I mean, HBO they don't show commercials.
No, they don't.
So how do they make their money?
Through subscribers.
It's free on AT&T now. I don't think, so they don't care about money. It's free on AT&T, and I think that's an exclusive package because I think AT&T and, Time Warner are getting in bed together soon. But the fact that they're giving away free subscriptions to...
but I'm sure there's something in that deal with AT&T.
But before HBO Go, Game of Thrones was already a hit. How does HBO make their money? HBO Go is something recent. Like they just started that app like last year.
Yeah. So
how were they making their money before that?
Yeah, through cable subscriptions, through all the deals that they made with Comcast, with Cable Vision, with
that, and it's also HBO is one of those situations where it's owned by Time Warner. Time Warner gets almost close to $8 billion in ad revenue. So it's like HBO is I can't say that word, subsidiary. Yeah, there we go, subsidiary. Yeah, that word I have a problem saying it, but they're that to Time Warner, and Time Warner is already a cash cow to where they could throw in money to HBO, even though it doesn't necessarily bring them money back. So that's what I'm saying. It's like that's kind of the muscle that Netflix has to go up against, and I think it's a lopsided battle. So the streaming war title contenders are Netflix, who's winning right now, but they go up against Amazon Prime. Like you don't even know how much you pay for Amazon Prime because Amazon Prime is basically free. They're saying, we don't care about Amazon Prime. We care about you guys ordering products through us, right? And collecting data to sell to other companies or advertisers. So, but Amazon is like a giant, right? So if Netflix goes up against Amazon, they're gonna lose eventually. It's just, they have deeper pockets. And it's the same thing with Time Warner. Guess what? Disney's about to enter the ring. And they have deep pockets as well. So raising prices is inevitable. I think you start it sooner than later, rather than, you don't want to raise prices while you're behind. That's how you lose share. So raise it now while you're number one and while your customers are comfortable paying it. But I do want to see Netflix win. I just like the story of the underdog, to me, that they're rocky in this fight. And I'm not about to go cheer for Drago like anytime soon. So yeah, like they have to raise their prices, and it's reasonable. Like Sling TV is $25. When you look at some of their competitors and what they're offering, they offer less, but for a higher price point. That's why I'm like, well, I think with pricing, Netflix has always been underpriced. And I think people are actually comfortable paying $25 a month for Netflix. So if they're getting there by raising it $2 at a time, you're not really going to see people jump ship until they get into the $20 range.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I'm right. So we'll see about that. I mean, but we're anxious to hear what you guys think. Go ahead and let us know your comments, or let us know about everything that we talked about. Number one, first things first, make sure to hit up my Patreon, like I talked about. Looking forward for your support. Also, let us know what you think about Screen Junkies. Will this impact, the way you watch Honest Trailer videos? For me, I think that they've at least they're starting the process of getting some of the bad apples out there. So I know there's more creative people there that haven't done anything wrong, and I'm really going to support their art. So as long as they at least dismiss the person that's glaringly responsible for this. I know it's under investigation right now, but if I would expect the decision to come back and say that, Andy Signore is no longer with Screen Junkies. Nonetheless, I want to hear what you guys think. Will this impact the way you guys watch Honest Trailers? Will you watch it at all? Secondly, let us know what you think about the Pacific Rim trailer. And also, are you a Netflix subscriber? Does $13 scare you away, or, are you still going to stay on that ship? So it's about that time, guys. Thanks for joining us today. If you like what you heard, share it with a friend on Apple Podcasts or wherever you go for your podcast. Don't let this be the last time we hear from you or you hear from us. Support the show by giving us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. It would really mean a lot. Also, join us next week and check out the show notes on where to find us weekly. It's Couch Tomato Films on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and Couch Tomato Film on Twitter. Other than that, peace.